Happy Thursday, everybody. Welcome to On the Wrong Lead. My name is Josh, at Cherry Drank on Twitter, and I am once again live from Mr. Pump Up the Am's pool, mainly because I haven't decided to download any kind of horse racing specific background. But I don't know. Maybe when Caleb and I are at Keeneland, I'll take some pictures and maybe I'll have something to vary it up here. But yeah, let's. Why don't we start with speaking of Caleb? Why don't we start with the man with the very Caleb-centric background there? There's two things I can think of. The first two things that probably pop in my head when I think of Caleb is one is StableDuel, and two is just like turf horses that just absolutely own him. And you got Blowout there in the background.
So I'm now referring to this horse as Channel Blowout. Just because of Caleb. So, I mean, we could do that. You could do Blowmaker, whatever you want to go with. I'm okay with it. Cat Out. Whatever Caleb wants to go with, I'm good with it.
I'm sure there's some like Kittens Blowout that's probably gotten a couple on him, but
all I know is it's not El Tiqua. So that's all I know. Oh, hey.
Oh, hey, Caleb. How are you?
He heard that, didn't he?
How about Blow Me? Is that one taken?
Whoa. Hey, this is a I was going to say this is a PG show, but we all know that's not true. That ship has sailed. And my twin for the day over here. Hey, Mark.
I mean, look, check out this beautiful shirt.
Your twin
awareness. It's important.
You have a luscious head of hair. How are you a twin?
That's true. And I got like probably about, 8 inches on you?
Oh, probably at least.
I thought this was a PG show.
Oh, there goes the PG again. So unfortunately, we were able to pull in another victim this week. Probably the most prolific StableDuel player I know. Caleb, I think he's probably better than you.
Definitely.
Michael, what's up, Michael? How are you?
Hey Josh, excited to be on camera this time instead of living in the comments. Love these live streams. Excited to participate.
Awesome, man. We're really excited. I know we've been talking back and forth and trying to get you on here. So I know you're a big fan of turf racing. I know you're currently writing over at ITM, the In the Money Media. You're doing some stuff for them, and I know I read all your stuff for Kentucky Downs. So why don't you introduce yourself a little bit? Talk a little bit about what you kind of do.
Yeah, so I got got started because I was participating in their horse player happy hour series and did pretty well in there. That was a weekly contest, kind of on the way to like trying to win a seat to the BCBC. And I reached out to him and asked if they wanted to do anything for Colonial Downs because it was running on Monday, Tuesday, which was kind of not going up against Saratoga. And I thought it could be a good piece of information for them to have on their website. And so I started writing for Colonial Downs and then gained some traction with them through that. Wrote a bunch of stuff on Kentucky Downs, recorded some podcasts with them, and did really well at Kentucky Downs. And now covering Keeneland. I think I've been a little bit pigeonholed into the turf racing. I like it all, but it's been good to me over the last couple of months.
Yeah, and I also I can't help but anytime I enter a StableDuel contest, I see you in there like I don't know at least 3 times. So are you basically do you basically play everything? Are you just playing the big contests, or what do you kind of do there with StableDuel?
Yeah, I try to play any contest where there's an overlay, and recently that's been more contests than not. And so I'll try to play as many, and the more entries I put in, the more expected value comes out. So that's kind of how I've structured it. That's why I play a bunch of entries.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I always think back to DFS. I know for me personally, like now that I've kind of scaled back DFS, I mean, I gravitate more towards the single entry stuff, but a lot of times, you know, to try and get that top prize, you got to have multiple entries, and definitely in StableDuel with the overlays they've been having, you know, the player's edge in horse racing is like super tough to get over. So anytime you can like reduce that takeout, and with StableDuel lately, it's just been overlay city. Like, yeah, you got to get in there and try and make a count.
Yeah, of course. I think, the other thing is that I think StableDuel is kind of suited my style of handicapping, where I think the thing you really need to figure out is which favorites to lean on and which favorites to fade. And the other thing that's great about it is, you know, one horse can come in and it doesn't blow up your whole day. And that's kind of one of the other things that I love about it is, like if you play a pick 5 and some 99-1 shot comes in at Parks and jumps up from a 66 buyer to a 95 buyer and blows up your pick 5, then you kind of have a tough day. But and StableDuel, that didn't really affect everything as much.
Yeah, I know the amount of times I see Mark or Brian get really mad when they're playing the pick and pray, and all of a sudden the bomb comes in. I mean, I know Mark doesn't have it because Mark is one of the biggest chalk eaters I know, and Brian is usually on the 20-1 will win, and Brian's on the 24-1, so he's usually upset about something. But yeah, it's, you know, Mark's always said that the pick and praise probably would well suit me, since I'm, you know, I always have a problem finding chalk to play, so I've been trying to get a little bit better at that. Yeah, I love taking stabs. So, so it looks like Disco Partner asking what we're drinking tonight, boys. I saw you lift up your Voodoo Ranger there. What do you got there, Mark? Oh, you got some Japanese stuff.
A little Nobushi, a little bit of Japanese whiskey. You know,
nice.
One I've never had. So,
Disco
Michael,
Partner
what do you
also
got there?
You have a little T-shirt.
I've got a little autumn IPA action.
Okay.
Not as much of hate to say it, not as much of a bourbon drinker as you guys are, so I didn't want to come on here and make a fool out of myself.
You want to know what's funny is what really got me into bourbon is just the fact that, like,
Michael.
Yeah,
Here you go.
He's got the beers too. I mean, I love beer. My problem is that like if I have more than like one beer day a week now, like I just get all messed up. Like I feel bloated and it's all kinds of stuff. So I kind of started leaning more into. It's called what? What were you gonna say, Brian?
It's called being over 30. It's not bloated. That's just fat.
No.
Embrace it, buddy. Let it happen.
Oh man, yeah, Ben, yeah. Mr. Cameraman over here saying old. Hey, when is Naira gonna like get these replays under control, huh? Because like I've been watching these replays and they go to like 320p after the turn for some reason. I don't know what the heck is going on there. Caleb, what do you got?
I busted out the new bottle tonight, the Ranch Regulator. I don't got the bottle in here.
Oh, you actually bought that?
Yeah, no, I bought it forever ago. I just picked it up today.
Oh, okay.
You know, so it's a bourbon that it's a store pick from some friends that went in on a barrel. It's interesting so far. It might need a little time to open up. We'll see.
Interesting, like contradiction?
No, it's better. Nothing's that interesting.
Interesting, like Smoke Wagon.
It's funky, and I don't know if it's good funky or bad funky, but it's funky. It just
you got the funk. Do.
Yeah, I poured the last of my Blantons I had here, so, and then I got the Woodenville, the Ed DeRosa pick over here, waiting for my next pour, which I'm probably gonna need because I'll tell you what, man, I thought Friday's pick 3 seemed pretty manageable, but man, Saturday is just absolutely insane. But luckily we're going to start here. Race 5. We're going to be going 5.5 furlongs on the turf. Michael, I know you actually got a StableDuel play here as well, but why don't you talk to me a little bit about this one here, Bodenheimer?
Yeah, I think this is a pretty awesome race from a StableDuel standpoint, just because if you look at this card, there's a lot of big fields on it, and there's a lot, and the smaller fields normally come in the dirt routes, where if it's a small field in a dirt route, your fourth, fifth place, sixth place finishers can get really high negative points. But now you got a turf sprint where the field's likely to be compressed, and the favorite you're going to have to spend way up on, the number 2 Into the Sunrise. So I think like this is one of those races where in StableDuel, I don't even really need to look at the form too long to figure out who I'm going to play from that standpoint. But as I looked at the form, really dug into it, I think Bodenheimer is interesting, even like as you kick off this turf pick 3 or if you're playing the pick 5. Showed some talent early in his career, won the stakes race over this course, and then, kind of went off form a little bit. But the last 3 races are more route. I know the last one was at 6.5, but those races at Kentucky Downs play more towards stamina. So I think now you get a chance that some dirtied up form gets back to a turf sprint over a course he's proven to like, and there's not that much speed in there. I think the other speed is going to be into the sunrise, but is Joel really going to go on a mad send? That's not really his style. So I think if they walk a little bit on the front end, it's only $750 in the StableDuel. At least get you some positive points at a minimum.
Yeah, for sure. Go ahead, Mark.
I was going to say, I got to ask Michael, because I always have problems with these types of races in StableDuel. Just from the fact that, I don't think Bodenheimer can win, but Bodenheimer is that sort of clunk up the bottom of a trier or a superfecta. I think Into the Sunrise wins this race, 9 times out of 10. Is your play here more from a value versus expecting to get points from type of standpoint with Bodenheimer?
Yeah, I think the negative points really kill you in StableDuel, and I think you can find other horses on this card. Into the Sunrise might be one of them for you. He's not going to be one of them for me, but that you can center around and say, I think I'm going to get somewhere between 35 and 65 points from. So when you can when you can only spend $750 and get one that you think is going to get somewhere between, let's call it 6 and 23 points, that's worth it to me. And I would even think about doubling up with the outside horse too, because he's more of a closer, and that he's going to kind of run in the number, and he's only $3,000. But I think the Bodenheimer at 12-1 is where I would really center my play around.
And you're talking about what, the 7 Mamba on 3 there?
Yeah, I think just he's got numbers competitive, and Bodenheimer has a propensity to sometimes give it up late, so this one would be more to pick up the pieces and clunk up and get that 3rd or 4th that Mark was talking about.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Brian.
So yeah, they're calling for some PM thunderstorms tomorrow for Keeneland. So I was that's why I was looking at the 7, because I like 2 back the way the 7 ran on good turf. I have to imagine, if they get any substantial rain, they're going to pull it off, and then who knows what happens. But I can see how you got there for sure.
Caleb, what are you thinking here?
It's like Michael's living in my head, because it's pretty much exactly how I saw this race. Into the Sunrise is the most likely winner, I think. 6-5 doesn't do anything for me. I don't think he's that likely of a winner. I think Bodenheimer has that dirty, gross form with the dirt races in the routes, and then the race at Arlington going too far, and then the trainer switch. There's just so much going on here that makes that horse look like a no-hoper. But he has races as a 2-year-old or early in his 3-year-old campaign that fit. He needs to kind of get going the right way in his form cycle, which is a big if. But I like Bodenheimer a little bit in here, and Into the Sunrise is the other horse I would like. So I don't have much else to add. I think that kind of covers it. Does anyone really get – maybe it's just me, but I don't understand 2-1 on Bob's Edge at all in this field. I guess he has some strong dirt races, but – is he just hoping this race comes off the turf, or does anyone have a better read on that than I do?
He has the Fairgrounds Turf Champion aboard. I just want to put that out there.
The Biscuit?
The Biscuit was like a great turf rider at Fairgrounds last winter. He was the leading turf jockey down there.
Did you guys remember BM Fergie? Brett Ferguson?
Yes.
Yeah. So he always told me, he's like James Graham on the turf at Fairgrounds. So I don't know about Biscuit up here, but I have no interest in this 4 whatsoever. What about you, Mark?
Yeah, I was just going to say, the morning lines have been quite suspect at Keeneland all meet, and I just attributed this one to being a very suspect morning line. I there's no way this horse goes off at what, 5-1, 6-1. I thought the morning line was just laughable.
Okay, Andy Serling.
Oh yeah, here we go. Great.
the
Now
same hair.
you're going to get
What is
into
it?
it with Andy again, aren't you, on Twitter? Here it
Is
goes.
it a New York thing? You can't like the morning lines in Kentucky? What's going on with you New York people?
Okay, I'll take it.
Yeah, not to. I mean, I don't want to belabor the point, but I kind of agree with everyone. I think the 2's the horse to beat here. I did have a couple of B's written down before. I know I had the 6 written down. I think the 6 might have actually been the lone B I had, but I was a little interested in the 6 coming from Arlington. Kind of echoing what Brian had said. Getting a little bit Arlington. Anyways. The horse has won 3 straight, has won on firm, has won on good, and 1 on yielding. So if we do get a little bit of weather, I think that this might actually play into the 6's hands. I'm kind of surprised that Jose Lopez is still named, but I don't really think he's got much going on right now unless he was going to race at Hawthorne this weekend. But Christopher Davis is good enough trainer. What are you going to say, Brian?
How big of a class jump is 40,000 at Arlington to 90,000 at Keeneland?
What are you talking about? 75,000 non-winners of 1X.
I've been told class doesn't matter.
Yeah, class also does not matter. That's a very good point. Thank you. Thank
There's
you,
a
Mark.
lot of horses on today's card. They're shipping from Arlington that would look good if you just covered up the Arlington part. I think those are just absolute trash races, and I won't probably have a single one of them that's not trained by Ravelli anywhere on my sequence.
All right. Well,
Bet Mitch.
Hey, horses won 3 straight. That's all. I
Okay,
gotta
8 to
say.
1, Josh, and the horse is in good form. I mean, I don't hate the play. It's just a personal thing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I hate the
Just completely just like trash my entire opinion, and then say, but it's not you, it's me. Let's move on here to mile and 16th. We got an allowance 90K here. Caleb, why don't you start us off here? How do you see this one?
So I love a horse here. I love a horse in a StableDuel perspective and a live money perspective, any kind of perspective you want to talk about, and that's the 9, Joy Epiphora. Now, I've been chasing this horse for a long time. This horse got shut off in this stretch probably a year ago. I don't know when it was. It might have been a Keeneland race. I can't even remember. Or Churchill, maybe. I don't recall. And I've been betting this horse for a long time. Horse doesn't like to win very much, and that's been a bit of a problem. From a StableDuel perspective, this horse is 8 to 1 and is almost a lock to hit the board. I think that's a great value play. But even just from an actual win perspective, look at the company she's been keeping: Santa Barbara, Mean Mary, La Mista, Dominga, Bramble Queen, Hendy Woods. Those are all
what
nice
track
horses.
though?
Arlington Million Day doesn't count.
And then before that day doesn't count either, huh?
Well, no, that day doesn't really count.
Okay. I just wanted to double check. Okay.
No, that's just a bad loss.
Okay.
I've always thought she was better going a little shorter. I think a mile and 3/16 and a mile and mile and a quarter was just too far. I think this is the right distance. I think she gets the cutback here. She does need to sort of find that killer instinct because she has developed a bit of reputation to hang a little bit. But I think she gets a good stalking pace here and a stalking trip here in a race that doesn't really have a ton of early speed. I'm kind of guessing the 3 Breeze Rider probably goes to the front. And then beyond that, I don't see too many horses that really want to go. So she can probably sit mid-pack and make a good move. So I like Joy Epiphora quite a bit here.
Big shout out to Keep Pounding, saying the steadied at Fairgrounds 7 races.
Was it
ago
Fairgrounds?
angle.
I knew it was one of those races. Yeah. It was forever ago. But one of these days, she ain't going to win and me not have money on her. I'll tell you that much.
Let's get the banner going. All right, Michael, what are you thinking here?
Yeah, I think Caleb's on the right track of looking someone outside the favorites. I don't really see any of the favorites being too overwhelmingly. We got Sweet Melania at 7 to 2. She's kind of an in and outer. If she shows up with her best race from the Jessamine last year, or from Jessamine 2 years ago, or the Wonder, or maybe the Lake George, she can win. But I don't need her as the favorite. I don't know what Alta's Award is doing at 6 to 1 on the morning line. That horse hasn't run anything on turf that makes her competitive. Market Rumor was actually pretty impressive too back. And so I guess of the shorted prices, Market Rumor would be the one I would want to include. But I think the 2 that I'll center the turf pick 3 around, and try to link up with Bodenheimer from the previous race. Number 4, Bacchanalia, switching. You never love to see the off Chad Brown, but it's not like horses have left Chad Brown and done nothing in the past. There's been, you think of some of the horses Sadler took over for him. They've gone on to do some good things on the West Coast. Like Catapults is the one that comes to mind for me. And Brendan Walsh is a really good trainer. In Bacchanalia's form, like there's enough there, I think, to take a shot with 12-1. Now, I would like to see Ricardo ride a little bit better this meet, but at 12-1, I'll take a shot with her in the mix. And then the other one I would want to use is Enola Gay. Kind of another thing that the angle I've been trying at the Keeneland meet so far is when they've had success over this turf course in the past, even if it was a couple years ago or a couple starts back, and Enola Gay's best performance was over this turf course in the Appalachian, and kind of got a confidence booster at Colonial Downs last time. So I think those two are both way more interesting to me than the shorter prices on the morning line. And I would throw in Caleb's horse, Joya Bafora. The only thing that I have that kind of kept me from putting her on the same line as the other two was Naval Laughter. Like I liked Naval Laughter a couple days ago at Keeneland, and she didn't do any running. And so that form, like obviously there's no Santa Barbaras, there's no Mean Marys in this race, but I think the three horses kind of just separated themselves from the rest of the field in that race. So that was the only thing that kept me off of Joya Bafora and the 21 race losing streak or whatever she's at.
Mark, what are you thinking?
Yeah, I mean, very much the same of what Caleb has already sort of said. I think the line is pretty bad on Joya Bafora, and I think Sweet Melania makes some sense as well in here. I don't really want anybody else. I think from a StableDuel standpoint, I'm using Joya Bafora, and in sort of this altar of pick 3, I'd probably use both the 5 and the 9 equally, and hopefully get through skinny early and spread into the last of the turf races.
Brian, you're dancing over there. What are you thinking? Is that because no one picked your horse?
Correct. We're almost to daylight savings time. And when daylight savings time happens, we're all at work and the sunset happens into winter. That's all I got.
That was terrible, Brian. Absolutely terrible.
Yeah, like your Tinder profile. So here's why I like Winter Sunset. Look at who this horse has lost to, right? Last out, lost to Hendy Woods. I mean, just outclassed probably. 2 back here on this course. Horse ran really well, lost to Daddy's a Legend. It's interesting that the pace projector shows this horse is a closer for the most part, but you look at 2 back what Florent did. He took the lead early and almost stole the race. Same distance here. Florent's back aboard 20-1. It seems ridiculous to me on that price, and I don't want to sound like a New Yorker, but I think that's a rough morning line. I'm not the most likely winner, but I think 20-1 is a little high, especially in this field. So at that price, I think I take a big shot. That seems to fit well. And if you like Catalano, what Josh used to like, first off the layoff, he's usually pretty good. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but at 20-1 for a StableDuel play, why not?
What is that? $500?
$250.
Or $250? Yeah, I landed on 2 A's here that Mark kind of touched on Sweet Melania. I think and Michael I think mentioned it as well. If Sweet Melania shows up, I think she wins this pretty easily. The only thing is that she really didn't show up much last year, if at all. So I mean maybe this horse is just done, but even that race last time out, lost to Hendy Woods, who still owes me about $1,800 for getting nosed out at Saratoga. But these horses shipping back out from Kentucky Downs have been firing. So I'll take another shot here with Sweet Melania. I kind of like this 3 Breeze Rider, and I think if I could think of one track that Caleb would probably not want to ship her from less than Arlington Park, it's probably Indiana Downs. But maybe, or Indiana Grand, excuse me. Sorry, I used the old name.
So wait a second. Josh took the cheap speed. That's what we're getting down to. Josh took the cheap speed.
So I took the cheap speed because, if you look once again, 2 back, I'm looking at that Kentucky Downs form. Horse won beat a horse that's in this race here, and was able to sit just off the pace and make that one move. So I think the horse is a little bit more versatile than just pure speed. But yeah, last time was just a complete speedball. So I'm not really sure what kind of tactics are going to be employed here. Joe Talamo is not exactly a noted turf jockey, so I really don't know what kind of riding you're going to get here. But I think 6-1. I mean, maybe you're going to get a little bit more than 6-1 here. I mean, none of you guys like it, and I know you guys all love chalk, so I'm guessing this horse floats up a little bit. But yeah, those are kind of the two horses I think I like the most here. I did like some of these outside horses, the 10 and the 11, a little bit. Once again, I don't know, from StableDuel perspective, I think that this is probably going to be a skip race for me because I just don't really like the prices in this spot. I mean, the horses that I'm kind of interested in are all in that 5-1, 6-1 kind of black hole range where like you're paying too much for the kind of value you're usually getting out of them. So I don't know. This just seems like the morning lines in this race kind of make it hard to play anything for me from a stable perspective. But the 10 and the 11 would be kind of B types for me if I was going to be playing something. If I'm gonna use B's in this pick 3, which at a $3 base I probably won't. So, but I don't know. Anything else you guys want to touch on in this race?
I think we covered every horse. I think we're good.
Yeah. Okay. So hopefully, hopefully Whimsical Muse doesn't win because then we're fucked. Because then I think it was probably like the only horse we didn't talk about in here.
Well, now I'm single Whimsical Muse because that's what happens.
I think Indiana Grand is a better track than Arlington, for the record.
Oh,
you know why? Because Indiana Grand will run in 2022.
Yeah, and once again, I know we talked about this a little bit, but our boy Keep Pounding out here saying, can we talk about how bad the Keeneland morning line has been? That's got to be a huge StableDuel angle. I mean, we talk about this all the time, right? Caleb, I know we've mentioned it. Michael, I'm sure this is something that you use. Like, I mean, that's what you're looking for, right? You're looking for a bad morning line to kind of take advantage of, right?
Yeah, I think Keeneland might need to do what Kentucky Downs did and outsource it to the computers overseas because Kentucky Downs actually had a really solid morning line, but this has been rough. I think the Naval After the horse I was mentioning earlier was 10-1 morning line, went off at 2-1. Now that one didn't pan out, so maybe the guy feels like he was vindicated, but that's not the job of the morning line maker. So
that was the Sophie Doyle horse, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, who faded horribly on the stretch and hurt me.
Yeah, I love that horse in that spot. Yeah. Caleb, bad morning lines.
Yeah, I mean, take advantage of it. You have to because other people will. So if if you're betting a horse at 6-5, like that horse we talked about, Bob's Edge or something like that, the 4 horse earlier. Like, there's no reason to take that horse, even if you kind of like him, because he's 2-1 in the morning line, and you're going to have to pay, whatever that, what is that, $8,000, something like that, $9,000. Whereas like he's probably going to go off, 6-1, post time. Meanwhile, you get a horse like, Bodenheimer at 12-1, who might go off at, half that. You got to take advantage of those kind of situations for sure. Because other people will, and if you're not, then you're at a disadvantage.
I mean, Bodenheimer sounds kind of like one of my favorite turf horses, Bodie Cream. So I mean, why not, right?
That's right.
Mark, I know you're shaking your head because Bodie Cream cost us a little bit of money last time out too. I know you were all about Bodie Cream. I remember.
Yep, I was.
So, Mark, now I guess real quick, we're gonna just go back to cash, right? Bad morning line. You handicap without the morning line, isn't that correct?
Yep, I do.
And you feel like that helps you out?
Yeah, I just think that if the morning line is there, no matter whether you really pay attention to it, you still see it out of the corner of your eye, and you're like, oh, this is the morning line favorite, and then you make opinions about it. If you turn morning lines off, make your opinions without them there, and then turn them on and go, oh, wow, I had this horse rated really highly, but I'm getting a lot of morning line. Those tend to be value plays if the morning lines stick. Or you can find lines that move for something like a StableDuel where you can go, oh, geez, I like this horse, but boy, I think that horse, that's a bad morning line, and that's a horse that maybe I can exploit with a StableDuel standpoint.
I mean, we've all been there, right? We really like this horse, right? We put a significant win wager on it, and then we're like, hey, maybe we should play the exacta too. And you really have no other opinion, and you just kind of like scrolling through the morning lines and maybe picking kind of some of those cheaper morning line horses. I've definitely not done that recently, as today. Jay Davis saying he heard Stuart Guthrie was born on a highway because that's where most accidents happen. God. Oh, God, Jay. Shout out to Jay who did join me for a podcast the other day, talking about his big Kentucky Downs hit and talking about how Stuart did not hit a single bet that entire trip. So shout out, keep pounding.
I can't help it. Every time you say Stuart, I think about that comedy routine of the multiple names. Have you ever seen that guy, the comedian? He says Stuart, like the different way to say all the names.
No, I have no clue what you're talking
I'm
about.
gonna look it up. You're gonna have to find it.
Okay. Let's get to the feature here. The Buffalo Trace Franklin County Stakes. I have not been able to find Buffalo Trace in about 2 months.
Oh.
So this is kind of really stung for me.
I had my hand on some earlier today. I would have shipped it to you.
I don't know, Caleb. If you find any in Pennsylvania, you might have to drive to Keeneland with it.
I'll never find it in PA. It's impossible to find there.
Oh,
I have it coming out my ears down here, but I used to say that about Eagle Rare too. So.
Yeah, I know. Let's not talk about it. Yeah, poor Stuart. He says the things took a bad turn for him there. This is a pretty good race here. I have a couple of question marks in this race. This is kind of a really tough race. It's a good race. It's a competitive race. I love Campanelle as a horse. Campanelle still owes me money from last year's Breeders' Cup. So I'll probably lose money on Campanelle once again. I have her marked down as an A in this spot. I'm also interested in this 5 In Good Spirits. And once again, I'm kind of just playing that Kentucky Downs shipper. Horse did pretty well in Kentucky Downs, shipping out here. But I don't know. That 6.5. I know, Michael, you kind of touched on it. That 6.5, I think really does play to horses that really want a little bit longer, like a mile. So I don't know. Maybe this is going to be too sharp for a horse like In Good Spirits. You got John Velasquez, who's not exactly a super aggressive rider, so he's going to be sitting off, and maybe he runs out of time. So, maybe I'm just live changing my opinion on this horse, the 5 In Good Spirits. But Mark, how did you kind of see this one?
I thought this was a really, really wide open race, and I think I'm 6 deep in here, and I don't have Campanelle anywhere. I have no real good reason to fade Campanelle. She's obviously really talented. I just, I don't know. I guess what happened last out at Deauville, obviously she was, you can play she's running just for its better company. And you could say also that maybe she didn't handle it going, but I don't know. These West Ward horses, I think a lot of these are really suspect. And the figures came back really strong. They came back okay for those races, but I just kind of wonder, is her being, a little later on in the season as a 3-year-old, has some of the rest of the company kind of caught up to her? I thought there was a lot of ways you could go here. I don't really know what horse I like the best in here. I think somebody like In Good Spirits, Catch a Bid. I know you would like Lead Guitar. Lead Guitar makes some sense in here. I think for reasons that Brian will understand, I think I'll probably land most on the 10. Yes, it's Ginger. But I thought, there was a lot of ways you could go in here. I don't really have a strong opinion. This is kind of the race that I want to spread and be a little bit deep here. And I know Michael will get up here at some point. I'd love to hear how you approach this from a StableDuel perspective, because I always have a hard time with these. Hey, I like 6 horses here. I know from how I'm going to approach this turf pick 3, what I'm looking at doing into this race, but how do you approach a race like this where I don't really have a solid opinion? I can't say this is who I think is the best horse in the race, or I can't say this is the horse with the terrible morning line. How do you approach these kind of sequences or races?
Well, yeah, you're not going to like my answer, but I'll probably get 6 entries out and put 1 on each of them. But
no, I respect that.
No, I'm serious. I think there's a race. I'm trying to remember what race it is that I was going to make that comment where, you can structure the stables, especially the $10 games and things like that. You can structure it in a way where, you center it around that one race where you have a question mark, and you could either skip the race or do something like that, where if one of your opinions is right, or even if a couple of them are right and they come in 1-4 or 2-3, you're still going to have a chance with both of those entries to pay, and then in contests where they're really top heavy, you kind of need the separator, and that's where you could get it in the entry that you end up with the winner in. So that's not probably the right answer that you're looking for, but that's probably how I would play it.
So just multi-ticket it. No, I respect that. That and obviously StableDuel is more, that's the strategy people are playing in DFS, right? They're spreading tickets and they're looking at games with VAR, and they're approaching that VAR appropriately by spreading it out. So I respect that.
All right, Michael. Since Mark already called on you, what did you feel here?
Yeah,
I think really hit hard. Oh God.
Yeah.
Puff, puff, give, Josh.
From this race, so I'm kind of the opposite of Mark on this one. I actually think Campanella is a very likely winner, and it's maybe because I have a little bit of scar tissue from last weekend going against Golden Pal, and I thought on form, like Golden Pal, he didn't have the speed figures that those older runners had, and he just came out and stuffed those others into a locker. So I think Campanella is a very likely winner. I think 7-2 is a morning line where I think this is another type of StableDuel horse I like to play, where morning line makers, especially in races like this where it looks pretty wide open on paper, aren't going to make Campanella 8-5 on the morning line. But I bet she goes off 8-5. And so I would want to use her in StableDuel. And, I don't know what it says on the Briz in the short comment. I don't know if they have a short comment, but DRF, all it says in the last race is third far side, tired, 1 furlong out. But there's a lot more to that trip than that. First of all, she got super washy going into it and got really upset before the race and then jumped at the break and almost lost the jockey. So I think that's a race that you can draw a line through. And her race 2 back, where she got put up via DQ, is world class good, and there's no one in this field that's world class good. And so I'm tired of getting beat down by Wesley Ward turf horses that just go to the front and don't look back. And she's even shown that she can stalk and pounce. So that's where I would go, is Campanella, and then I guess one lone backup would be lead guitar, but I think that some of the other guys will talk about her.
Caleb.
Yeah. Again, I really like Campanella here. I'm very similar to Michael. You toss the last race. She handles cutting the ground. I mean, she probably prefers cutting the ground, which it seems like she might get. Her only sort of poor race where she had a fair shake was in the Breeders' Cup, going a distance that was too far. She towers over this field, and she should handle business here today, I think. This is the kind of race, if I'm looking at it from like a StableDuel perspective, that I want the 7-2 horse that I think is going to be 8-5, or I want a bomb. Like none of the tweeners here, like the 4-1s, 5-1, 6-1 horses. I'm just not really interested in the catch of bids. I think this is too sharp. I mean, the change of controls at 4-1 does nothing for me at all. Yes, it's Ginger. I mean, I liked her last race. That was just a terrible effort. Maybe she didn't handle Kentucky Downs. Some horses don't, but that was a bit of a head scratcher. So it's tough for me to go to any of the tweeners here. If I'm looking past Campanelli, I'm looking for, boxcars. And the only one I'll touch on, because I could talk about quite a few, is a horse that I liked last time at Kentucky Downs, which is the 3, Lagertha. I don't know that she can win this race. I think Campanelli wins this race more often than not. But she ran a nice race last time out at 68-1, while right up on the pace. And it was tough to win on the lead for most of the Kentucky Downs meets, especially going 6.5. She ran a nice race there, in a race where you can kind of see, in good spirits, kind of had a slightly better stalking trip, and then Catch a Bid came from way off of it. So the front end kind of fell apart that race. She moved a little too early. I thought she ran a nice race here. She's probably better at 5.5 than she is the 6.5, which at Kentucky Downs is probably closer to 7. And, I don't think she can probably win, but at 20-1, you're spending like $250 for a horse that I really think could easily run 3rd or 4th. So, that's the other horse that I might try to work into the bottom of my exotics or use for a bomb StableDuel play.
I got a question. Are my PPs wrong? Because I see Turf God Hector Barrios at 9% on the turf this year. What in the world is that?
He switched it to Peta down at Gulfstream.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, yeah. The
They don't count
all-weather.
He's
the turf in the stat. They don't count Gulfstream turf in there.
Hey,
Yeah.
Michael, I actually got a question for you. Have you ever watched any of our streams under the name Jared Bush? Because Caleb is just stealing your picks like he steals Jared Bush's picks all the time, and so I'm kind of concerned that Caleb's just been getting like fed information consistently.
Yeah, that's the burner comment. I got help you guys up the viewers. I'm in here twice.
Brian, how did you see this? I'm sure you're going to take a horse that none of us to talk about.
Well, that's what I do. Somebody has to. So I do think the 4 is the most likely winner here, for reasons that everybody else touched on. I think Catch a Bid is a little too short here. In Good Spirits, I think looked nice last out. Ben just says he likes change of control. Being at 5.5 at Keeneland, I want to toss anybody that far outside. And here's why. Inside of the 12, both the 9, the 2 have some speed. I think the 9's going to be your leader at the first call. And I wouldn't be surprised the 9 is not the leader coming into the stretch. I like Mitch. And this is the kind of horse that at 8-1 could really blow up a pick 5 or a pick 3 or something like that. Probably can't win in this class, right? It's a giant step up in class. Josh doesn't like class. This is an E8. I don't see any cherries on the horse, so it's probably going to win. There you go.
It's a 3 cherry horse, yep.
Last out got beat by the 10 what's that horse's name? Yes, it's Mark. That horse ran nicely in the stretch, but then came back and last out and got outclassed by the 5 and the 6. And so we know what that horse can do against the 5 and the 6. And, it's an interesting race from a pace perspective because, again, I'm going to go back to the whole, hey, they're calling for rain tomorrow. If this scratches off or it's deep, I don't know what happens to the pace picture here. And then I'm really screwed because I haven't been able to. I was going through this race earlier trying to figure out if it rains, what happens. And
if it rains, LAZ wires this and wins pretty easily.
That's what I thought because the 9 has shown versatility and has shown the ability to run well on any surface. But this is the kind of race, like if you follow the Midwest circuit, Mitch steals this race at fairgrounds every winter. There's a stakes race that he'll steal, and Josh knows that. Bet Mitch.
Yeah, bet Mitch get rich.
And this is the kind of race where, look at the Briss right there. You have an E8. He has a pace advantage significantly. If for some reason something happens with the 10 or they decide to set back with the 10, I mean, the 8-1 lone speed. I don't want to point up to this sign of what happened last week. However, it's not blowouts. It's LD blow.
I mean, honestly, if LZ was a little bit longer of a price, I think that would be a really great StableDuel play. 8-1 though just feels a little short on the horse. But maybe I'm just being picky. But
no, you're not wrong. In this spot, the class move is hard, and you're probably right. But
all right, well, I think that's going to do it for Friday. So before we move over to Saturday, so Michael, I guess I didn't really ask you what's your main product. What do you use to handicap these races?
I use mostly DRF and Timeform, kind of in conjunction with each other. I kind of use the DRF as like kind of the canvas. That's what I'll write up on, and then I'll take Timeform US. I'll look at the pace projector and their speed figures, kind of to have like a cross check. Multiple data points on speed figures, so you're not just blindly trusting Andy Byer and his team. And I think Timeform US, they're just not as commercially like built into the market. So you sometimes can get a little bit of equity when they disagree and Timeform has a race faster. So it's primarily those two and then watching replays. So kind of traditional handicapping style.
Yeah, good. That's honestly basically what Mark does. I think Mark is mostly.
No, he basically
DRF.
just sold my story right there. That's exactly what my setup.
Except Michael picks winners.
No.
Ouch!
I pick enough horses that finish fourth and don't get minus 30 points.
You want to know what's
Don't
funny
pick
is
losers.
no, I mean it's the truth though. So the other day, Michael, I played in one of those express bet tournaments that they do they'll do like on Friday, right? And it'll be like an $80 buy-in, $60 buy-in or whatever. And it's live money, but it's really you pick 5 win place bets. And I played it was Santa Anita, and it was just like a really chalky day. And it just so happened that I cashed every single one of my bets. Like they weren't like great prices or whatever. I ended up fucking winning the thing, and it paid like $600, and it was just because every single bet I hit gave me something back. And I think sometimes in StableDuel it's the same thing where you got to make decisions, you got to make tough decisions, you got to take long prices, and you just want to make sure those long prices don't come to bite you in the ass. Now, when a short price bites you in the ass, then you just got no shot. But that's how you kind of I think the way that you play with multiple entries, that's kind of how you can kind of mitigate that a little bit.
Hey, yeah, it's funny because you just said you have no shot the favorite comes in, and we've talked about this before, so I'd be curious to hear Michael's opinion. The StableDuel payout structure, when they pay out the 45 spots, everybody gets their $40 back. Mm-hmm. What's your thought on that? Do you wish it was a little bit more narrow than it is?
Yeah, I could go either way on it. For me, it works out better because I like the contests that I do the best in are the like double up and triple up contests where the triple ups pay the top like 26%, the double ups pay the top 40%. Because the way that I play more like just trying to avoid the worst case scenarios in a lot of spots versus like picking, like I don't normally use 10 different races. And I know that gives you the most maximum points that you can get. You can get 60 points in every race, but no one except Caleb that one time at Del Mar is good enough to pick 10 winners. So like, I mean, so for that reason, like those big guarantee contests that pay down to like 20th and there's only 60 people in it, that works pretty well for me because I may end up getting 3 or 4 entries that finish, 12th, 15th, 16th, 17th. And I know Josh made a joke on the last stream, like, oh, in StableDuel, you might only get 2x or 3x your money. But for me, if I put in, 5 entries and 2x the 5 entries, then I'm fine with that. I'll take that every day.
Yeah, and it's the same thing with DFS, right? Like you are. I know he's not on right now, but Stephen Fox, Evil Bob Dole, and we talk DFS all the time, and that double up strategy is just completely different. That cash game, that cash lineup strategy is just different than if you're trying to win the whole thing. If you're trying to win one of those, like let's say $10 free tournaments and StableDuel, like you have to shoot for the moon because otherwise you're not gonna get the top spot, and that's really the only spot that pays. Now, if you're playing those bigger contests or you're playing a double up and you only got to beat 2/3 of the field, half the field, well, you play it a little bit differently. So yeah, that definitely makes sense, especially if you're playing multiple entries. I mean, the more spots that cash, I mean, that just ups your odds. So definitely as a multi-entry player, like the flatter structure, I think definitely helps you there. I know that was the thing with poker, right? And they would have, and I always forget the name. There was like a name for those tournaments where they had a flatter payout structure versus just like the normal payout structures that people liked, where most of the money was at the top. But you're playing a $2 tournament for like 27 hours to try to win $1,000 or whatever, and good old Poker Stars. But yeah, let's move on to Saturday. I'll tell you, man, like Michael, if you hit on this Saturday pick 3 in your article, I mean, they need to pay you more money because this is just like absolutely this pick 3 has got my mind in pretzels. I mean, you got like we got 2 maiden races, and then you got the stakes race, and the stakes race I think is pretty wide open here. I kind of went with the chalk here. I wasn't really a huge favorite or a huge fan of this 3. So this is probably gonna be the one I leave off. This Brad Cox Flow Horse. I mean,
Race isn't a part of the pick
Hey,
three.
Josh.
no, am I in the wrong race?
Yes.
Yeah, race 6 starts the pick 3.
Well, good thing this is not part of it. Anyways, yeah, Michael, why don't you start us off then? Because I have to make sure I kept the right races.
Yeah, no. The way they've structured it is that it's the last 3 turf races every day. And today there were only 2 turf races, so there wasn't one, which was kind of disappointing. But so yeah, to kick it off, I think the good thing about this is that it does kick off the sequence. It kicks off the late pick 5 as well, and so you can get a little bit of a look at the board. I looked at pretty much every trainer that has a firster, and there's the stats that with first time starters in turf routes, and they were all awful. So if one of them is taking money, then that's probably some signal that that it could be a runner. So that being said, without being able to see the board or what the turf condition might be like, if like Brian was mentioning, there might be some rain in the forecast. I do think Curbstone is a pretty likely winner, and like you're saying, the other races could be a little bit more spread. The Colts a half to Proctor's Ledge, who won both of the lakes at Saratoga, the Lake George and the Lake Placid, and ran into Annapolis first time out, who came back to win. I think it was the Pilgrim at Belmont, and then last time out showed some newly found speed, which I like to see, and just got nipped at the wire. The other horses that have run before didn't really do much to speak of, and Brendan Walsh is a great trainer, one of my favorite turf trainers to back. Had a lot of success with him at Kentucky Downs. And then the one backup I would use, I'm still debating, looking at the ticket structure, of whether I would move it up to an A or a high B, would be Camp David, the number 9. Yeah, you got an A with a question mark on it. I think this is the fuzzy in the race that you kind of have to decide what you want to do with, because first time turf, Rudolph Rousset reaches out to Jose to ride. The second dam was a turf horse. There's not much turf pedigree in the first family. And Pioneer of the Nile is an above-average turf sire. So I think out of the other horses in the race, that was the one that drew my attention the most. But I do think Curbstone is going to be tough, especially because the firsters aren't coming from barns that normally do this.
Yeah, and I mean, you basically see this race the same way I did. I thought Camp David was interesting just because Pioneer of the Nile, tends to wins early with his turf progeny. So I thought that would be, you get Jose aboard, who I think he's a better turf rider and he's a dirt rider. Rudy's fine first set of route, dirt to turf. I mean, all of his moves are in that 15% range. So, you don't really get a lot in here in the way of kind of turf moves. I mean, the Carlos David has got a couple of pluses on Brisnet, but you get Corey Lannery aboard. So, I mean, you might as well just like toss the horse. Although he is on the rail, so he's not going to have to move. So, I mean, maybe that's a good thing. I don't know. But, Mark, how did you kind of see this one?
It's a hard set of race. I think Curbstone takes a ton of money, ends up really short. I'm not sure I love the fact that there's an over 21 jock here. I mean, Santana's been riding absolutely abysmal all meet. Last time sort of felt like the time. Like I don't know what the deal is. This one clearly has a ton of speed. But I just didn't really love Curbstone here, and I wanted to try to go some other way because I think this is a horse that takes a lot of money. In horizontals, this is the horse people will try to single around in a big race. And I think if you get around this horse, the sequence really, this sequence really starts to pay. And, again, you're paying 2-1 here for a horse in StableDuel who probably hits the board. So from that perspective, it's okay value. But, I think there are other options in here that make a lot of sense that you can get sort of, very inexpensively. And again, this comes back to being maybe one of Michael's races from a StableDuel standpoint where you want to have multiple tickets and fire a few of them through here. I can make a case for 4 or 5 in here. I thought somebody like, the 2 or the 3, even the 10 coming off that Saratoga race, which was much improved, or somebody like Freedom's Way, the 12, all kind of sort of made sense. They're all horses that have pedigree, should be able to handle the turf. And again, this is the one where I want to sort of be watching the board and going in here from a horizontal standpoint, trying to find, a lot of time this Kentucky money sort of has the smart money, and see if somebody's taking a bunch of money here, and is that horse really well met in the spot. Again, it's a really tough race, really big, open, competitive maiden race, and I think there's a lot of players that make a lot of sense in here.
Yeah, this is a tough race. There's no two ways about it. There's a ton of different ways you can go, and I don't have a strong opinion in here. I actually handicapped this without morning lines, and I had the 4 kind of down as a question mark, Curbstone. Seeing that horse is 2-1, I really don't think I'm interested in that horse at 2-1. You hate to totally change your opinion just based off the price, but I thought that horse is going to be 5-1 maybe. So I was really surprised to see that. The horse that I think is probably your most likely winner is the 11, Wicked Genius. Kenny McPeak's barn has been firing at Keeneland so far this year, especially on the turf. So is Brian Hernandez. He's been on for most of those winners. So this barn is hot right now. This horse ran a good race at Kentucky Downs. The horse he lost to, Dalgiak Chief, I don't know how you say that, came back to run, I think, 3rd in a stakes race just the other day. So a respectable effort there. And that form has been franked a little bit, only losing by a length to that horse. So I like Wicked Genius here. It took a while to figure out that maybe the horse wants turf. And I'm still not totally convinced the horse is going to really want a mile and a 16, but that's probably the horse I would say is the most likely winner. The other one that I have some interest in would be the 2-horse, Mom's Moon. Michael has some good points about most of these trainers, the first-time starters on turf, not doing ideal. Rusty Arnold is one of those guys who doesn't typically get him to win first out. But I like the pedigree here. This horse is a half-sibling to analyze it, who's a multiple stakes winner on the turf. Kitten's Joy, obviously a very strong turf influence. The Damn Sweet Asai won her debut sprinting down the hill on San Anita turf. So there's some win early pedigree here. And, Rusty Arnold has had a couple of bombs come in. So I'll take a shot that the horse has been working pretty well. And then a race that doesn't really have a standout, I think you might get a price here.
Did you have a busy day at work today, Caleb?
Yes.
Yeah. Or are you just like reading chat just to figure out what you're going to do? Because literally Ben Wilkie, maybe about 2 minutes before you started talking, said Mom's Mood pedigree play, have to analyze it. And then all of a sudden, Caleb, you had just this brilliant idea about this pedigree play. You really just Jared Bushing it today, man. I don't know.
I'm mailing it in today. We got Michael for the details. Today, I'm just pulling a Josh and Brian.
Yeah. Speaking of Brian.
You're pulling a Josh and Brian. What exactly does that mean? I feel like you're fat shaming.
No, more like, wait, Josh has had the wrong race and,
that is true.
Wow.
And that was a tough race, too. That was a lot of time. I probably spent 15 minutes on that race. So, Brian, what do you got here?
15 minutes or longer than most of Mark's dates, so it's okay.
He didn't even say anything. Still.
Mark, oh my goodness.
That's what happens, So, Michael, I'm a jerk. It's not my fault. You've watched the stream,
And maybe listen to the podcast, The Horse Racing Jerk, starring Brian.
Which had the same amount of guests as the On the Wrong Lead podcast.
Okay. All right. Okay.
All right. Let's move on. All fun and games. So it's interesting, Michael, that you pointed out that the first-time starters are coming from barns that don't do so well. And I don't want to go against the expert here, especially the guest, but Timeform really likes what the Kelsey Danner barn is doing with this 6. And I find it interesting. First-time starters isn't that great. But 2-year-olds, this barn's rated at an 88, a 95 for first turf, and then an 88 for no Lasix. At 10-1, I think this horse is somebody that we'll see get played a lot on Saturday. It's just my thought. Obviously Joe Rocco is not exactly Irad Ortiz, but in a field like this, before scratches with 15 starters in the field, it's hard for me to develop an opinion that I could sit here and stand behind. You guys touched on all the winners. The only one I didn't hear was this 6, and I do think it's interesting here that Timeform has the barn rated so high, despite the fact that, like you said, from a conversational point, most of us would not think the Kelsey Danner barn's that good with 2-year-old first-time starters.
Yeah, I mean, Brisnett's got 12% first time, 13% debut turf, coming out of Bayern, which is a 12% first time.
So I'm not sure the algorithm that Timeform uses to get their ratings, but those are pretty high for 2-year-old routers.
Yeah,
I think they're just high in this field. I kind of agree with you, Michael.
Yeah, I got Kelsey Danner at 3 for 19 with a 261 ROI first time turf route. So nothing to scoff at there. The only thing with her though is she does a lot of that damage at Gulfstream and I think Delaware. And she's just 1 for 18 at Keeneland in the last 5 years. But like if you can find a price, she could open at 8-1 and everyone could be like, all right, this is the firster that's live here. And definitely would be worth including because Curbstone's no killer. And I've play him at 2-1 in StableDuel. I just think that in a race where it's hard to find a center, he's definitely the center of the race.
It's just one of those things where there's no, other than Curbstone, where's your standout in this field? Wicked Genius is 3-1, and that feels like a stretch to me, other than the McPeak angle and how hot that barn's been. But, it's like, okay, other than that, everybody else is almost double digits. So I like to zig when other people zag, So if you were going to approach this race, could you make the strong argument for not playing the 4 here and hoping the 4 misses the board, and 40% of the StableDuel barns have it? That's just my thought. I like to be a contrarian for the sake of being contrarian, then I lose and I get mad at Mark.
Yeah, and then you take it out of him and just channel all your anger towards him in rude jokes.
He always wants me to be Big Spoon. It's bullshit. Just because I'm
let's move on to the Queen Elizabeth Challenge Cup here. Race 8, we're going to go 1 mile and the 1/8 on the turf. Brian, why don't you go first here?
Dude, I didn't look at any of these races.
He can't go against all of us if he goes first.
Well, I know. That's why I picked him to go first. I wanted to see what he wanted to say here before
Race
he's
8,
got.
I got you. Hold on. Let me quick cap this. Oh, I got you.
Oh, goodness.
What? See how quick that just happened? I can pull it up.
Did you find an E8 though? Because it only counts if you found an E8.
There's no E8, but I found your favorite jockey, Mark. I'll give you a second. Number 8, Flippant. Rafael Bejarano.
There you go. Perfect horse.
15-1 morning line horse. Horse doesn't fit at all. Horse ran at Ellis. Horse ran at Colonial. Now comes
not Colonial.
I'm not knocking Colonial.
Don't knock Colonial, and Ellis was all the preps for Kentucky Downs, so don't knock Ellis.
In all
Those are
fairness,
legit races.
That effort last out at Colonial came back really well for that level of something that doesn't matter to Josh class.
Yeah.
So with that being said, could you make a strong argument for a 15-1 horse? And I don't know. I think your most obvious winners are obviously they're probably going to come from 2, 3, or 4. It's just Chad Brown, Aiden O'Brien. Ooh, turf. I'm surprised those are the best 3 horses.
Well, we already talked about this. The 4 got beat by blowout last time out. So,
well, that's an upgrade.
Caleb cannot use the 4.
So if the 4 got beat by blowout, you have to upgrade the 4 now because of how impressive blowout was, right? This goes full circle. I'm just putting it out there, Caleb. I'm sorry, but you're going to have to upgrade the 4.
Caleb, do you even like the 4? You hate the 4, don't you, Caleb?
I don't like the 4 here. No.
Yeah, of course you
okay,
don't.
I'm going to single the 4.
There you go.
I don't hate the 4 like I hated blowout, but I don't like the 4 is the favorite. I guess I'll put it that way.
Yeah, I wasn't super creative here. I used the 2 Chads. Technical analysis hasn't really done anything wrong. I guess the Wonder again was a bit of a head scratcher there, but I think the horse has come back and ran 2 really nice races in the Lake George and the Lake Placid. Shout out to who is it, Proctor's Ledge that you mentioned earlier, who was one of my first win bets ever when I started racing. Started playing the races because Eddie Olczyk liked Proctor's Ledge. Eddie Olczyk loved Proctor's Ledge on Derby Day, and Proctor's Ledge, and I think Sadler's Joy in another race. I think I bet on both. Yeah, I'm going to use the 2 Chads, the 2 and the 3 there. The other horse I was interested in was this 10, Closing Remarks. Coming off of this Delmar Oaks, it's got a little bit of a Z pattern there. I don't know. I don't remember if this might have been a race where I think Rispoli was like trying to find room and just kind of got shut off and didn't kind of just made a run late, but nothing opened up. But I thought Closing Remarks, at least on Briz, looks to fit in this spot. Has got a little bit more of a closing kick, and there's a little bit. Briz thinks that there could be a bit of speed in this spot. So I think I am going to want someone that's going to be coming from a little bit off the pace, which is kind of, like I said, I kind of got a 1-2 punch in the 2 and the 3. The 2 is going to be a little bit more forwardly placed. The 3 is definitely going to be closing in. And I think I'm going to want a little bit of this 10 at 8-1 with Rispoli aboard. What are you thinking, Mark?
Yeah, so I think I want to fade both the Chads in here. Chad Brown is so far 1 for 8 on the meet. I give my love. Chad goes deep.
Come to the 8, baby. Come to the 8, baby.
I love your 8. I actually really do like your 8.
Oh yeah, you do. We are losing together.
No, I mean, I think Chad Brown's been 1 for 8 on the meet. His horses have not run well, and normally Chad fall Keeneland is normally 40% Chad territory. He normally comes down here and just cleans house and takes everything home. And he's not fired. His horses have not run well at all. In respect to history. So I think of the races on this card, this is the one that I want to be the most spread out in. I do like Brian's 8 quite a bit in here. I think the 9, the Euro shipper in here, Haggis doesn't ship very often, but it's super easy and interesting that he's shipping over with the hot local jock hopping up. Thought that the 9 made quite a bit of sense in here at a price. It's somebody like the 10 Closing Remarks with Pasta up. I thought that horse made a ton of sense in here. I think there's a lot of ways to go. I want to see what scratches end up as in here, but I think again, this is one of those races that I had a really hard time from a StableDuel perspective because I would kind of need to do the Michael strategy and have 3 or 4 tickets in here where I'm picking out some of these price value type places or horses and. Yeah, I thought there was a lot of very, very interesting price plays here. If you can get around the 2 Chads, and just with how he's been running, I think you really can.
Not to be that guy, but Carla Gaines ships horribly. Just put that out there.
No, she does. I don't disagree. She does. But I find it interesting that Pasta's coming in, and I realize he's got a couple of other mounts on here. This is probably not his most likely mount, but it's one of his top couple in here, right? I realize there's not a lot going on in Santa Anita, but interesting that Pasta shipped for this.
You remember what happened last time you faded a Chad Brown on turf, Mark?
I'm sure it hurt me. Okay. Probably a lot.
Was that blowout last week?
No.
Oh, that would be probably
technically it was.
Right, technically it was. They're going to go 1-2, just box them up in an exact. That's how it goes, but.
Yeah. All right, Michael, what are you thinking?
Yeah, I can't be as against the Chads as Mark is. I know it's not as fun, but I think that technical analysis is the one that I think is the most likely winner. The wonder again, I think the excuse is that it really wasn't that much pace on there. I think the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th place finishers of that were really up against it, and Cone Lima just kind of wired them. And then I really like the effort 2 back in the Lake George because Jose did a good job getting her position moving forward. But to get there, she kind of ran into a little bit of trouble entering the clubhouse turn, which I thought, watching the race, I thought it was going to be significant. But she finished the deal pretty easily. And then followed it up by winning the Lake Placid against an overmatched field. But the good thing is that she won both the lakes, so that 5 years from now, when we're remembering back, we won't have to get which one of them she won wrong, because those two always get mixed up. So technical analysis will definitely be the top pick. I looked really hard. I really tried to make a case for the 2 Euros that haven't run in America yet. But I just don't know if they are up to the same caliber. You think about Empress Josephine came over. She was a classic winner, and bred really well for that Coolmore family. These other 2 are bred well as also, but they just haven't really stepped up to that same level. But they're definitely the 2 most intriguing horses that, doing a little bit more digging over the next couple of days, watching some of those replays, maybe they find their way onto my tickets. I think the 5 nicest, the distance is a little bit of a question mark cutting back this far, and Cloudy Dawn is definitely, I'm going to use that dirty 5-letter word. The class is the question mark there. But I think it centers around the Chad horses. I like technical analysis more than Shantasara, despite my newly found love for Flavian Pratt riding Chad Brown horses. And then the Euros are kind of your fuzzies that you want to look into a little bit.
Yeah, I will say I've watched that race from Cloudy Dawn, and that I think that's more impressive if you watch the race on video. I don't know if you've gotten that deep yet. Yeah,
I think the fact that she's more proven at this distance than the other Euro is really the feather in her cap as well.
I think also she's a little more proven at this class. If you're races out of Deauville come back pretty well, and a lot of horses that ship out of Deauville who are successful run real well in the States. So I think that last the Prix probably should be a classier field than this.
Yeah, our boy Disco Partner is talking a little bit about Chad shipping in. That as Belmont turf is getting harder, he's expecting them to ship more and more out. So he says he blames the July rain. I don't know.
Could be.
Ben Wilkie, big fan of Queen Goddess, Filthy Turn of Foot. That's a 6 horse. At 30-1 for Michael McCarthy. Michael McCarthy has not exactly had a good year. I forgot where I saw, but someone had posted his last, couple months, and it's just not very good. So he's
I think. I was gonna say my main issue with Queen Goddess. I obviously really filthy turn of foot, but Keeneland has not been playing 2 deeper closers, and I think she's going to be a fair bit out of it in here. You've wanted to sort of be speed, on or just off. You haven't seen those deep closers getting there. So yeah, she's got filthy turn of foot, but I think she'll have probably a little too much to do late, and is getting quite the class test here.
She's never faced the kind of pace she's going to have today or tomorrow, Saturday.
Yeah.
I think there's some very unique opinions about this race. I don't think it's that open. I think one of the Chad Browns probably wins, and that's boring. I do prefer Shantasara over technical analysis, so I guess same page but different chapter compared to Michael here. But one of those 2 both probably wins. He's 1 for 8. We're acting like that's a bad stat. If he's 2 for 8, he's 25%, and nobody bats an eye, and he's still 5 for 8 in the money, which is right around his career average. I don't think that's really significant. To me, I think one of those 2 wins. Empress Josephine's a player, but the price isn't right for me there. I really tried hard also to make a case for the Euros, and I might throw them in maybe as C's in a pick 5 kind of a play, because they will both be prices, and they're both relatively unexposed and could be this good. I'm not really convinced there's any monsters in here, even though it's a grade 1. So I wouldn't count out the 5 or the 9, but for the $3 pick 3, I don't think I like them enough to include them in that kind of a wager. And I wouldn't use them in StableDuel because I do think the downsides could be pretty large.
The 5 only finished 9 lengths behind Snowfall.
That is true. So
it could be a monster. Yeah.
You never know. Then with the 5, I think the horse wants firm ground. ran her best race, over Ascot when she finally got to some decent ground. Kept getting that, broke her maiden over fast, relatively firm turf. I think she keeps getting these bogged down turf courses. And I think that's probably why she's here. So I think she'll like the firmer ground. I just don't really know if she's this good.
And is she really going to get firmer ground if they get storms coming through? I mean, it was listed good today, and they're calling for more rain Friday evening.
Well, I mean, I tend to think that a Keeneland yielding is still better than an Ascot or Cara good. We'll see.
Okay, you probably have a point. Yeah.
What
did you think about? Oh, sorry.
Sorry, what were you going to say, Brian?
No, I had nothing.
Okay, go for it, Michael.
I was just going to say, Caleb, what did you think of the trip? Like, didn't you think it was a pretty soft trip for Shantasara last time? And she's not going to get that same setup today. It was, I mean, mile and 3/8 sitting right on a slow pace versus today she's going to have to sit back. I'm not saying she can't win. I'm not way against her. But I thought that race a little dressed up, don't you think?
She did get a great trip in that race. I wouldn't deny that whatsoever. I mean, the horse she beat, Higher Truth, is kind of like the gatekeeper of graded stakes. Like, he's not really good enough to win one, but it's always going to like hit the board. So I think that was like, a decent benchmark that she was able to sit off that slow pace and pass her stablemate and, get the win. If that was her only local race, I maybe have more concerns, but despite the fact that it wasn't at Arlington, that was a good race in the Pucker Up where she crushed that field. And then the Monmouth race, I can kind of forgive just given the slow pace and first start in the States after a big layoff. So Time Form loves the last race of Shantasara. King's back with the best figure in the field by quite a bit. I'm not sure that I totally buy it, but I do think that she makes sense. And with the way Flavian Pratt's been riding for Chad Brown, I'd probably just give her the slight edge. But I do respect technical analysis as well.
And also, I think at Arlington ran against the bias too, Shantasara, right? Because wasn't that it was really firm turf, and I mean we saw the million get wired, which doesn't really happen often.
Whoa. The what?
Sorry, the 600,000 get wired.
Thank you.
What track is that at again?
It's the now defunct Arlington Park,
it's the Bears
new Soldier Field.
Yeah, it's
Soldier Field 2.
It's the parking lot, right?
It's like Mark's girlfriend. She's from Canada. You don't know her. He met her at summer camp. It's okay. Hey,
God.
Dumb question. Time Form has this. If you look at the 10, the 8, and the 2, all pretty quick early. We don't see anything stupid happen because of the jockeys being sharp enough and being, Pasta, Bejarano, and Ortiz. Does Bejarano actually push this to the point where maybe they try to, do something stupid and set this up for somebody off the pace like the 6? All depends what you think for Time Forms, pace figures, right? Because the 10 comes back at a 135. Early. The 8's a 121, the 2's a 126, a 124 last out. It's interesting to me that it's like there's a lot of red fractions there with those 3 horses. And you have to imagine, and the 8 is the long price. So could Raphael do something crazy or get instructed to do something crazy here to try and get loose out there if the other 2 are going to hold back?
The 8's never been in the lead except in the straight.
Right. But I'm going by Time Form. Time Form had that horse with some red fractions, red pace early, and that's what I'm looking at. So I know what you're saying, Josh. I'm just playing devil's advocate based on what Time Form's showing me.
If anybody's going to go, it would be the 10, and that's because that's pretty much his only option from the outside, I think.
Right.
There's a lot of horses that could go, but I don't think the 8's one of them. I could see the 8. Yeah. I could see the 10. I could see the 7. I could see the 1, but I can't see the 8.
But you see what I'm talking about on Time Form, though, don't you?
I know last time, but that's Colonial. I don't even know how much I believe this fractional splits.
Whoa! Michael told you to be nice.
Whoa! Don't pick on Colonial, okay?
The number of times where they got halfway through the race and and there's just nothing that showed up was pretty frustrating. So I will give Caleb that.
But I would say, the one horse. Oh, go ahead. Okay,
I was just saying, but the quality of racing was substantial.
Yeah, it was a good race.
Yeah, so I only wish they raced at night again.
Yeah, if they only would go back to night racing, we need more turf under lights.
Michael,
I heard the reason was that they blamed it on the Virginia afternoon thunderstorms always causing havoc, so that's why they moved it. I think it was that they just wanted to be the only show in town on Monday, Wednesday, Tuesday.
Monday, Tuesday.
Yeah.
I think by running on day shift or daylights, they kept Swifty and Barshoe away from their track. I think that was the plan.
This could be true. Yeah, I love Delta under the lights. You got Meadowlands turf under the lights. Any of those night under the light tracks that have turf, that's a lot of fun.
Downs after dark.
Downs after dark, yeah. So the one horse, I know it was brought up just very lightly. Ladies Fight Sphere, the 7. You're getting Emma Wilson. You're getting a horse that is undefeated, 3 for 3 on turf, gets faster every race. She's a bit of an outsider here. I agree with it, but doesn't she kind of
Emma Jane?
Did I screw that up?
Yes.
Sorry if I screwed that up. Sorry.
Woodbine's best jockey.
Yeah. Doesn't she sort of inherit like a really nice trip here? There's a couple speeds in front. She sort of sits that pocket trip, can, kind of, and she's a very talented jock. She can kind of sit, play it in front of her. And I thought that the 7 actually here was fairly interesting.
I don't think she's got enough horse. I think the pace early is going to be too quick. She's going to be too far back and screwed, in my opinion.
Okay, cool. I don't hate that.
I love speed, and I didn't pick the 7 at all. So
she's not really a speed type, though, is she? I mean, she's more of an EP, right?
She's not. There's no dead speeds in here, but she's certainly.
Oh, it's an EP 7
from third.
Oh man! All right, let's close this out. We got the 10th race, 5.5 furlongs. I did not cap this race at all because apparently I misjudged. But I see the 8.
Take it.
So you did cap it.
So I did cap it. All right, Mark, what did you think here?
Yeah, I guess I was kind of approaching this from a turf pick 3 standpoint, and I only ended up on 2 horses in here, which I ended up on the 3 Ghosting Kim and the 4 Chili Pettin. Those were horses that, on time form were the only 2 horses that I thought could win the race. And I'm trying to get a little bit skinny here and hoping that I can catch some prices in earlier races. I think the line on the 3 is pretty terrible, quite honestly. That would probably be a StableDuel type play for me. I think that horse takes a lot of money and ends up quite a bit shorter, but those are the 2 that I ended up on. No crazy opinions in here. Somebody can probably talk more articulately than I can about the race.
Well, Michael, I did see that you did give as your value play Ghosting Kim here, 8-1, $3,000. What did you like about Ghosting Kim here, Michael?
Yeah, I think the thing I like best is that it's projected to be a pretty fast pace, and Ghosting Kim's one of the horses that has shown in the past to be able to close down fields at this shorter distance. And, I do talk a lot about field size being one of the most important things in StableDuel, and I really think that they have that T-shirt that says size doesn't matter, but lengths do. I think they should change it to size doesn't matter, but field size does. But the other thing is I do like to pick a StableDuel horse in the last race because it's more just a mental thing, because you get to the last race and you at least still feel like you have a shot. So that's why I wanted to highlight Ghosting Kim. So in a race that could fall apart late, you're only paying $3,000. So even if she just clumps up for 5th or so, or 4th or 5th, you're still going to get positive points. And like I was mentioning earlier, the Keeneland turf course, it's a little different than a lot of others. It's sand based, which I've been told is a thing. And so the win over the turf course with her best race being at Keeneland, at the distance, in a race with a fast pace, closing it down. I think a lot of signs point to her in StableDuel and to close out this turf pick 3.
Caleb, what did you think?
Yeah, so I do like both the picks that I guess both Michael and Mark talked about with Ghosting Kim and Chili Pettin. I don't really like Chili Pettin that much, but these are the kind of West Ward horses that only run like twice a year, and I always try to beat, and they re-break in the stretch and beat me somehow. So I haven't decided what to do with that horse yet. But there were a couple others that I thought were interesting that we haven't talked about. The one I actually do think is really interesting is the 11 Recoded. And I'm not a giant fan of the connections here. Marcelina Pedrosa and then Eric Foster. And the horse doesn't actually have any wins over the turf, but it has 3 really good turf races. I mean, that two back race at Kentucky Downs, and we've seen horses exiting Kentucky Downs races, winning pretty much everything that's not nailed down. And that seems to be a really good last race angle here. And this horse ran a good race, 7 furlongs, maybe a bit too far. I'm checking chat now to make sure I'm not sending anyone's picks. But I like Recoded here. Both of her turf races actually are extremely competitive on time for me. Or all 3 of them, excuse me. But her last one is actually, I think, the best turf fig in the field. I mean, I understand it's Kentucky Downs. There could be some timing challenges, but it's a strong race, I think, no matter how you slice it. So I like Recoded to come from off the pace. I do think there's an honest pace setup here, so somebody can hopefully come from just off the pace. And the other one I looked at to pick up the pieces here was the 1 Social Chatter with my boy G. Watts Humphrey. Josh already knows how I feel about G. Watts Humphrey.
And Keeneland? Oh, yeah.
Earth to win at Keeneland. And, daughter-in-law Vicky Oliver is training for him. So this is like the trifecta of the connections that typically win these kind of races. Horses coming off of 2 really good turf sprints, a win at 5.5, a win at 7 furlongs. I already talked about the last out Kentucky Downs angle. So I think this horse makes a ton of sense to come from off the pace. Just needs to get the right trip because probably will have to pass most of the field here in order to get the win. And always run the risk of traffic and other issues with closers and the turf sprints. But she's drawn well, and she's open to more improvement. So those are kind of the 2 horses that I thought looked pretty interesting in this spot.
Brian.
So on Friday in the 9th race, the 6 Signifies entered as the 11 horse at 50-1. I expect the horse to scratch out of Friday's race and run here on Saturday. It's a softer spot, albeit horse probably doesn't win, but it's a better spot. Man, I really don't want to back a Corey horse on stream. Crap.
You already gave him a high five. It's all water under the bridge.
I know, but man. Let me go to a horse that I can't pronounce the name of. How about Bonero? Yeah, it wasn't too bad. The 10 horse. Probably can sit off of whatever pace may happen pre-scratch. And the horse actually ran decent. The horse has been all over the place. And if you go with the rule of, synthetic transfers to turf well, blah, blah, blah. The 10 may actually be worth a shot at 20-1, despite the fact that, Joe Talmo is aboard. He might be the only jockey worse than Corey. Sorry.
Making friends again, Brian. Making friends.
Yep.
I don't make friends with jockeys. It's funny because I was told as a young man learning horses, I was told it doesn't matter what a jockey does. A 120-pound jockey doesn't make a 1,000-pound horse do anything different. I've determined that to be a fallacy. Because I've watched some dumb shit happen on the rail. So, with that being said, sorry, I was long-winded. I do like Caleb's 1 Social Chatter there. I think that fits pretty nicely. If the 6 scratches out of Friday, which I expect to happen, I really like the 6 on Saturday at 5-1. Probably a little too short on price for a StableDuel play, but I think with the other horses in this field, like Chili Pettin, and I think the morning line on the 12, Sarah C, is ridiculous. So I think the 6 will hold some value here. And if I get 7-1, I think the 6 is worth looking at. I was actually surprised that Mark wasn't on the 12. I thought Mark would be on Sarah C. He's a big D-Wayne fan, as we learned today.
He had a win on the day.
Yeah, huge D-Wayne Lucas fan.
He did have a win today.
She has no turf pedigree, right? And she's 0-7 on the turf. Like, I had a hard time getting past that. I don't hate the horse, but that was the part I had a hard time getting past.
And Timeform actually likes the pedigree and the turf, though. right?
Yeah, well, we all know Time Form's ratings are a little suspect there.
And you have
Yeah, I
Ryder,
mean they are for those types of things. Quite honestly, I don't use them for those.
and look who's aboard. You have Ryder Dave's favorite guy aboard.
David Cohen.
So
Yeah,
The horse hasn't
I
won since when?
taking a quick look at this race. Like I said, I accidentally handicapped the wrong race. Caleb, I am a huge fan of your one. Social chatter. That does make a ton of sense. Horses, horse ran best race as a maiden, and kind of regressed a little bit going to the dirt, but seems to have been improved each time out. Love the Kentucky Downs angle. Horse that no one really talked about, the 7, Limos Cunha, won last time out at Indiana Grand. And Brisnet really liked that fig. I mean, I haven't looked at time form, so maybe that fig is just completely fake. But this is going to be another one of those horses that's going to be coming from a little bit off the pace. You're going to be getting 12-1. Eduardo Carmoni is 22% third off the layoff. And Sophie knows how to ride on the turf. So this might be just another horse coming, shipping in, sitting just off the pace. And I think the 7 is going to provide a little bit of value here. So,
wow, I said that loud, didn't I? I'm sorry.
Yeah, you said that really loud.
Not that loud. It's just a great microphone.
One more bomb that we could throw in and try to name every runner in this field too is the number 5 Southern Mama at 15-1 morning line. Because I like Ghost and Kim, I kind of have to like Southern Mama a little bit as well, because the Kentucky Downs race 2 back, I'm going to throw out that race. I don't know why she was there, but the Kentucky Downs race 2 back, she was 5-1 in it. I don't know why she was 5-1, but sometimes when I see the horses take money that I didn't see coming, I file it away in the back of my mind, and that pace absolutely collapsed. So today on Saturday. Know what day it is. On Saturday, maybe she gets back to, that great Belterra form of 4-back and actually can sit behind some speed and stalk and pounce. So, that's a bomb. I'll be a little bit more hesitant to use in StableDuel just because the big field, and she's the kind of horse that could get beat by 9 lengths and finish 8th, but to spice up a pick 5 as, a B or a C is one I would have to throw in since I like Ghost and Kim.
Yeah, definitely. And you had another bit of a long shot play a little bit earlier on the card in race 5 as well on Saturday, didn't you?
Yeah, I think just another thing from a StableDuel perspective, there's not that many races on Saturday's card with single-digit field sizes. So finding the races with those, so circling in on those races and seeing if you have an opinion in any of them is important to me. And in this race, I don't really like any of the favorites too much. And I thought the 7 Hanalei Houdini was pretty interesting just because of the connections involved. So I was surprised to see in the ownership group the 10 Strike Racing, which is Marshall Graham and Clay Sanders. Marshall won the BCBC last year. They're a pretty sharp claiming outfit. And they went and they got this horse from Colonial. And that's not a track that they run very often at. So they must have seen something in this horse that they wanted to claim it and run it back here. Michelle Lovell, she doesn't do great first off the claim, but she's an up-and-coming trainer that does great with a lot of different aspects. And in a race where the favorites seemed a little bit suspect to me, this one at 10-1 morning line, you're only paying $1,000. Another one, I don't even need it to win to have success in StableDuel. I just need it to run, 2 through 5.
Yeah, definitely. Anything else that we want to touch on Saturday's card there? Nothing. No one's got anything. Brian, I know I cut you off. What were you going to say?
I really don't have anything. I tried to have something smart for you, and I just don't. You ever just have one of those moments where you're like, whatever.
Oh God. Mark, anything?
No, nothing.
No. What do you? Did you want to plug our Friday thing?
Yeah, we're going to be talking some Meadowlands Turf tomorrow evening, starting at roughly 7:30 Eastern time. We had a really good showing last weekend, trying to get some track buy-in, but that hasn't happened yet. But hop on. Everybody who paid attention got a pretty dumb pick 4 score last time. So, yeah, good time. We'll hop on, talk some Meadowlands Turf.
That was
What's not to
really
like?
funny. It was really funny when Mark's pick 4 came in, and like 2 guys who like hadn't said anything the entire stream.
I hadn't said anything the entire stream. We're like, dude, thanks for that. I had
one
like
guy
10 times.
leveraged Mark's A's more than Mark did.
Yeah.
So he actually made more money than Mark did on this pick 4, which I thought was just hilarious because especially he didn't play any B's. He only leveraged Mark's A's. So
Was his name Pow?
So some people are
no,
better at taking my picks and making money on them than I am, which is
I feel that.
I mean Caleb's great at it. I mean, you see what he does with Jared Bush's pick. So
Since Michael's here, let me ask him a question. Michael, if you're playing StableDuel and maybe you're out west, and there happens to be a shipper from out near on turf, how do you feel about that?
I feel like this is a trap. I would,
Yeah, it is. It is a trap. Yeah.
So
I do love turf form shipping west. Now, whether that's from West Virginia to the West Coast, that might have to be a story there.
So I can appreciate that answer because it validates Caleb's opinion, and Mark's just salty because Mark's a sucker, so it's okay.
I listened to Caleb. It cost me 6 figures.
that happens. I mean, he's good looking. He's
He's
persuasive.
so handsome. It's just the handsome is it's just hard.
Michael, you wanna plug any of the stuff that you got going on before we head off?
Yeah, I think just I tweeted out. I've been covering the Turf Pick 3 every day. I've been posting some tickets as well, trying to get a little bit more of the leveraging your strongest opinions with backups and other legs. That thought process a little bit more widely spread. I know Mark does a great job with it. He could probably critique my ticket structure even more. So we got that going on every time they run the Turf Pick 3 at Keeneland, which I thought was going to be every day, but today was an exception.
I'm intentionally trying to avoid playing it today. That's the only thing I could come up with was they carded 2 turf races. Like you come up with this cool wager, and then you intentionally card something so that you can't play it. Like that's intentional, right? There's no. I
wonder if they thought it was going to rain or something.
It was going to rain. That was my only other thought. Yeah, maybe.
I don't mind it though. They're hyping up for the weekend. I'm hoping tomorrow hits $250,000 because last weekend was 180. So if tomorrow hits,
payouts have been stupid, just stupid good payouts.
It was it last Saturday was pretty easy, and it paid 577.
5 something, yeah,
ridiculous.
Yeah, and then I'm gonna be at Keeneland, so I'm not plugging that. It's gonna be exciting to be there. I'm playing in the live money contest on Sunday. They have a big live money contest both days, so looking forward to getting down there.
Caleb and I were talking about it. Like we were both about to message it to each other, and then we both realized it was on track only.
Yeah, so. They got the 3,500 on Saturday and the 400 on Sunday, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
nice. Yeah, we're gonna be there next week.
Nice.
So Caleb and I will be on site Thursday, Friday, Saturday next week. So,
Michael, I hope you get a picture with Swifty and Barshoe. I really want to see that picture.
I'll get it just for you if I see him.
I appreciate that. So far I've seen it with multiple people, and it's been fantastic every time.
My favorite. Go ahead, Michael.
The funniest thing was you made a joke that the day racing kept Barshoe away from Colonial, but I actually met him at Colonial, and Bree Mott was also there, and that's where I met Bree, and I had. I didn't get a picture with Barshoe, but I had him take a picture of me and Bree. So
you made the right choice if you had to pick one.
Yeah, you did. Yeah. That was a smart decision. Yeah,
my favorite
a couple times.
My favorite is still our friend Mike. I think he's at Gorgonzola 44 on Twitter. he's got a video of him running up with like a program and a pen up to Barshu like a little schoolgirl getting his autograph, and it's just I don't know, it just cracks me up whenever I see people like taking pictures with Barshu. I always imagine Mike running up to him with his marker in this program, all excited. But cool. Anything else, Michael? I don't know. I know we've cut you off like 4 times while you're trying to explain all the stuff you got going on.
No, just check out the website. There's lots of other good content on it other than what I'm putting out there. A lot of good podcast material. And yeah, it was fun joining you guys. We'll be back in the comments next week for sure.
Yeah,
Hey,
for sure.
Do me a favor and whip Caleb's ass on Saturday, will you?
That shouldn't be too hard.
I'm just so tired of him winning.
Dude, I'm just tired of him being
won.
like, I'm tired of Caleb's. I don't know, man. I think this is going to be the week I don't play.
Right.
And then like he just posts, he's like, oh, I finished second again. Damn, I don't know how this happened.
Yeah,
like
I only took down $3,000 this day. My bad.
Oh, I got wine shipped to my house. I don't even know how this ended up here. Christ.
As long as Caleb stays out of my big dollar double up and triple ups.
It's every time I've tried dabbling in those probably 3 or 4 times, and it's like without fail, I've done like the worst of like my life every time I've gone to this content.
Yeah, that's why I need to stay away.
Yeah, maybe
There you
I'll
go.
in my top, whatever it is, top.
Michael, when you beat him, feel free to tag all of us on Twitter because that'd be great.
Oh yeah, easy retweet right there.
I feel bad tagging him when I may have like 1 out of 6 entries that beat him.
No, it's okay. We only care about the 1. It doesn't matter about the other 5.
Yeah, we won't background check that at all. Don't worry. But yeah, Michael, no, it was great having you on. I know maybe we'll pull you on for a podcast or another stream, or definitely if we get some Breeders' Cup stuff going. I know in the past I've done stuff with a bunch of guests, so we'll definitely do something again. But yeah, for everyone else, we'll catch you guys later.